What's going on, everybody? This is Travis from Carter Cow Capital, helping you fight for your financial freedom throughout the Forex market. This is a Monday episode of Trade with Travis. Hope everybody's doing very well on this Monday morning. As we go through, if you're a first-time watcher or a long-time listener, this is what we're going to end up doing. Take a look at some overall trading opportunities, being able to see if there's something out there that we can be able to get into, and obviously being able to profit off of it. Let me go through the disclaimer and get that out the way. And then after that, we go ahead and jump right into these pairs. I haven't took a look at most of these charts. Well, I have took a look at some of the charts, but I haven't looked at all of the charts today. I'll let my automation systems kind of ride this morning. I'm kind of happy for doing that. Currently right now, doing pretty well on those overall movements. But let's go ahead and go to it. I'm not a CTA, so I'm not going to tell you whether to buy or to sell. What I'm going to do is teach you education, and from the education, you can be able to make your own informed decision. Now, understand that trading involves risk. Trading it involves risk of being able to make money, also involves risk of being able to lose money. So please keep that in mind. And understand that past performance is not indicative of future results, which means that if you end up making money yesterday, it's not promised that you can end up making money today. So with that being said, I'm going to show myself onto the screen. Hopefully this chat is actually working well when it comes down to being able to see everybody. I'm going to ask people that are live to be able to hit me in the chat box. Let me see if something works out very well when it comes down to this. The last few times it has not. So I have been having to either have you go through the Discord server and be able to place in your messages through the Discord server, or be going through and placing everything in a different fashion. So just want to see how well that's actually working. But yeah, I'm super excited to be able to talk to y'all. Last week ended up having a very good week when it came down to trading. Currently, right now, we're starting off very well when it comes down to that movement as well. If you like to be a part of our overall Discord group where we end up talking about everything that we end up doing for us trading, ideas, plans, and everything else, it would be nice if I show myself on the screen. Let's do that. There we go. Trading, ideas, plans, anything else like that. We end up talking about that each and every day. And building out the Discord group to be able to make sure that everyone can be able to get everything that they're looking for. We end up having books, we have ebooks and PDFs and overall ideas. In our premium section, we end up having premium indicators and premium expert advisors. And one thing that we're going to end up doing inside of that is that, and I'm gonna ask y'all this because this is something that I literally thought about this morning. I haven't thought about it really and truthfully at all until legitimately early this morning, and being able to figure out a way to be able to bring in personally more income for the community. And my thought process was very simple. If you don't have a lot of money to be able to start off with, then there's prop firms to where you can be able to do that. And with those prop firms, then why not just sit up there and try to figure out a way to be able to create an expert advisor that will allow you to be able to create income that will exceed the amount that they have, be able to pass it, and actually be able to make that profit off of it. So if you're interested in being able to learn a little bit more about that, if you think that we should create or it should basically move our expert advisors to be able to fit the overall rules of an FTMO or a surge trader or anything else like that, type in the comments, type in yes, I guess. uh, that's a very simple way of being able to do it. But yeah, type in yes. Let's do it like that. We'll end up talking about those as well. So pulling up the charts real quick. To be honest, I haven't looked at the charts since Friday. I want to start off with US 30. I'm actually in a US 30 trade on a buy trade, and currently right now it's up a bit, but right now I'm seeing this large wick starting to happen. So I want to see what's actually going on with that before being able to make the decision. All right, so here we go. From a weekly perspective, what is happening? From a weekly perspective, what is happening? We see, as we end up taking a look at this, we can see that the market is in the buy zone. With the market being in the buy zone, we've had a crossover in the stochastic, basically saying that the market is ready to be able to move to the upside. Since the market has fell down to the natural support down at 28,730, the market has been pushing up at this particular point in time. We've blown through the first position where I thought that the market was going to end up hesitating at 29,870. And currently right now, we're starting to be able to push up towards that next high, that next larger position, getting up to that 30,600 area, in which I think that it has a very good chance of being able to do. Just need a little bit of help when it comes down to everybody else, when it comes down to movement. That brings me to what's happening when it comes down to the economic calendar. Economic calendar, we're not seeing a lot when it comes down to that. New Zealand dollar is going to have consumer price index. The Australian dollar is going to end up having a meet in minutes going into tomorrow. That's really not going to be anything. Typically, remember, this is the going into the actually fourth week. Going into the fourth week of the month. There's actually 5 weeks, I believe, this month, where I'm not necessarily seeing a lot of stuff from a high impact news standpoint that is really kind of pushing the market that will make it move. So overall, this may be a retracement week. Taking a look at this movement. Now, the daily will kind of scream otherwise. And the reason why the daily will scream otherwise is because it's kind of more in the sell zone, and we're looking at this overall position. On Friday, we end up seeing that the market end up pushing up to the market tried to push up to 30,430, which now is turned into a large consolidation resistance. And the reason why I say it's a large consolidation resistance, looking at this, we end up having 1, 2, 3, 4 separate times where the market tried to be able to break past that area and it did not. And currently right now, we can see that the natural support, if we're being very truthfully, the base of it will probably end up being at the low of 29,100, which will end up being that actual area when it comes down to that movement. So got a lot of stuff to be able to pay attention to when it comes down to that. But let's jump into the hour. Let's jump in and see how the market is actually moving. On Friday, when the news actually end up coming out, I need to figure out if I want to go ahead and take these funds. I'll be a little bit more patient. But I already done lost 10% on that. Don't want to lose any more. Gonna be a little bit more patient. We'll see what happens. We can start to see that resistance that we end up talking about is at the top of this overall peak. What's that? 30,450. From there, we end up having natural support, in which we end up talking about a little bit earlier. I would say that the natural support when it comes down to these overall lows is at 29,700. So I'm going to put a massive box around this overall area as a very large consolidation box, on which has to be broken. If it's broken to the upside, then after that, you'll truly see that this market could make waves when it comes down to this overall movement. In this overall position, this is going to end up being a different color, because if I keep it as the same color, then I'm going to freak out a little bit. But when it comes down to that, that means that overall, this market won't truly be into a bullish position until the market actually ends up breaking above that 30,450 area. Once that happens, then after that, we can start being able to see the market start to push back up. Let's see, undo. We can start to be able to see the market start to push back up towards that 31,300 area and a little bit further from there. Currently, right now, from a 15-minute perspective, the hourly is in the sell zone. Keep that in mind. I don't know if this is a higher high, and then after that, we're seeing the market start to peak out. But the market did break a counter trend line break, and then after that, start to be able to push up. It is in the sell zone. This is kind of telling me that I should go and take profit on this overall move. Friday, what happened was this, or what's it? Yeah, Friday. Let's talk about what ended up happening overall before we make a move, because I think I can be a little bit more patient. We end up setting up 2 different consolidation positions. The first consolidation position was an aggressive move where the market ended up going at 29,175. The market ended up breaking. That was our thought process. We said that it can be able to go to 29,620 for that overall movement. The market fell all the way down to a low of 29,653. Once it ended up falling to that overall low of 29,653, the market ended up popping up. Once I end up seeing this large move and once I end up seeing this large move overall, I end up saying, okay, well, it's time to go ahead and take profit. I just go ahead and moved out of that position. I did not get all the way. I did not get all of this move. I think I ended up getting out right here when this candle started going up at 29,780. And then after that, the market started to pop up again. Once the market started to pop up again, what ended up happening from there was that the market ended up breaking into the actual consolidation again. And then after that, breaking into our buy trade. The first time that it ended up happening, it ended up pushing up about 100-something points. End up getting out on that move, and then after that, it ended up pushing up again, and then after that, completing that position. So it gave you 2 times to be able to actually win on this position. If you end up doing that, that was great. When it came down to that movement, if you did not and you only got one portion of that move, either way, it's about a 400-point move to the downside when it came down to that movement. So great trade overall. Currently, right now, there we go. All right. Now I can see everybody. Okay, sorry about that. Hold on. I'm gonna make sure I end up saying say hey to everybody uh, as we get through this. I knew that I wasn't seeing people's messages. Um, okay, so once market end up breaking past there, currently right now, what I'm looking for is this: market end up hitting past this resistance. Once it end up hitting past this resistance, currently right now it's not building out a consolidation area yet because there's really no consolidation to be able to work off of. I can call this the natural support right here, or the new natural support, which is right here at the bottom, but there's really no support yet to be able to get proven based off of that. So we're basically in the middle of this large consolidation that ended up happening from October 4th to October 9th. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take this. I go ahead and lock that in. It's $3,900 in profit. $3,900 in profit this morning. All right, go ahead and lock that in. Not gonna wait on that. Arizine, what's going on? How you doing? Efficient Dingo, what's going on? Santana, how you doing? Check Bitcoin. I make sure I end up doing that. Fatty, what's going on? And Peter, what's going on? I make sure I end up taking a look at Euro, United States dollar, and US yen. I hope everybody's doing very well. Once again, for some reason I'm not able to see y'all messages. I'm just gonna get to a point where I'm just saying, hey, all of the messages just gonna go through the Discord, and just be able to do it that way, so I can ensure that I see everybody's messages. But happy to be able to talk to all of y'all. Most of y'all I see pretty much all of the time, and it's always good to be able to see y'all when it comes down to being able to talk and trade and do everything else like that. So there goes the Discord link if you're interested in being able to learn a little bit more about that. That's the free link and being able to get in. Obviously, we have a premium section. I end up placing that in as well, so people can be able to go from there. Uh, but we'll make sure we end up taking a look at all this stuff. But the first trade that I ended up having with the automation system and everything else was Dow Jones. That wasn't a manual trade. That was an automated trade. I ended up taking that, ended up closing out in profit on that when it came down to that movement. I wanted to make sure I ended up getting done with that one first because I was up as much as 5K, and I wanted to make sure that, hey, if I'm going to end up doing that, I might as well get out now. My question to everyone, and I'm gonna say this before I refresh the screen, is this: my plan is to be able to do this. All my automation systems that I end up having, I'm gonna end up basically setting up to where they can be able to pass certification for ftmo and everything else that they end up having, Surge Trader and all this other stuff. The reason why I'm doing that is because ultimately, one, I want to be able to use other people's money to be able to make money. I mean, obviously, that's an easy way to be able to say it. But at the same time, for people that are interested to be able to trade and know how to be able to trade, but don't necessarily have a larger account, you can be able to use other people's funds when it comes down to that, and be able to pass the certification. Then that means that you can start off with a little bit of money and be able to have a certain skill set, or the automation system can have a certain skill set and still be able to create that income for you. So you're interested in being able to learn a little bit more about that, or you're interested in being able to join that challenge with me when it comes down to that with the automation system, type in yes, and we end up going from there. Okay, that's my plan on that. I think that it can be done. Matter of fact, I know it can be done. I just got to do it. Good. So let's go through NAS 100 real quick, and then after that, I go into the big three. We'll take care of all of the U.S. based pairs, and then after that, we'll take a look at Bitcoin as well. We'll get done with that, and kind of go from there. US 30, there's really no trade to be able to take right now at this particular moment, and I don't know if I'm shooting myself in the foot by getting out too early, but there's really no consolidation to be built off of. We're doing this based off of the vortex strategy either. So nothing yet on US 30 aside from what I end up doing this morning. All right, so what's going on with NAS 100? NAS 100 from a weekly perspective. Once again, I'm seeing that the market is starting to show signs of being able to show a little bit of a retracement from this movement. Even though I think that the market is truly bearish, there is a little bit of retracement when it comes down to these movements. Market's clearly in the buy zone. We had a counter trend line break. We end up having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks of overall downside movement. We end up getting this. We end up getting this candlestick where we end up seeing the buyers start to really kind of control the bottom, and then after that start to push back up towards the upside. So I'm going to say that short-term movements, the short-term movements that I would look at would be bullish, but overall, market is still overall bearish. Daily position is kind of showing the same thing. The market does pop above 10,940. Then after that, we have this large pocket that we can be able to get into that 11,150 area, kind of pushing back up into that. We take a look at it from a hourly perspective. This was a plan last week. We ended up saying that the market went into consolidation when the FOMC news ended up coming out. We ended up saying, okay, well, we ended up wanting to place in our order at 10,750. Once it went down to 10,750, we said that we wanted to get out at 10,400. The market ended up popping to the downside, went all the way down to 10,445. Kind of like what ended up happening with US 30. I ended up getting out on this one early. I got out right when the market started to give us that little hesitation at 10,042. Once I ended up getting out, seeing the market start to pop up, I had in this buy trade. I did not place the buy trade on this one to the upside. So US 30, I took advantage of it. Not NAS 100, I did not take advantage of it. For people that are kind of wanting to know when it came down to that, but there wasn't really no rhyme or reason. It just was that I didn't take advantage of it. Now, what's actually happening is this: we show how we showed that the daily on US 30 that there was a larger consolidation block that we had to be able to pay attention to. I want to see if that's the same when it comes down to NAS 100. Currently, right now, it is not at this point. So not gonna. I don't think that we have anything to look at when it comes down to that. Let's see. Am I disconnected? Am I disconnected? I don't want to see if I'm disconnected. Somebody please type in the chat and let me know if I'm disconnected or not. Because obviously if I'm doing this based off of two different screens, one is showing that I'm connected, the other one's showing that I'm disconnected. I need to know if I'm still on. Somebody will help me out on that one. They'll make it a little bit easier. So currently, right now, what is happening? What is the overall game plan? So we know that the market ended up breaking the support right there. We know that we're basically back inside of the consolidation that ended up happening from October 11th to October 13th. When the market ended up pushing up past and trying to break past 11,140, the market ended up falling all the way down to these natural supports at 10,730. So I'm going to consider that to be the natural support, but we don't have a resistance to be able to work off of right now. When the market ended up pushing up earlier this morning, I'm considering that to be a large retracement at this particular point, which means that I don't know. I wouldn't jump into this and be very happy with being able to jump in on an overall move unless you end up getting in earlier, kind of like what my automation system did. I don't know. I don't feel comfortable about getting in or telling anybody to be able to, or recommending anybody to be able to get in at this particular point. So right now, I'm going to stay away on this overall movement. And I say that with my automation system picking up some buy trades, obviously off of the breakout. Go figure. I'm going to let those ride as well. We'll see what happens. But I don't like what I see with NAS 100. I'm going to stay away from NAS 100. Not going to do anything with that one. Let's go ahead and go into the big three real quick. We'll take a look at US dollar index. We'll take a look at gold. We'll take a look at oil. We'll take a look at euro, United States dollar, and US Japanese yen. US Japanese yen has been killing it all year. US Japanese yen has been absolutely killing it all year. And if you have been trading that just by itself, this US yen just by itself, and quite frankly, I don't know how much money you end up making based off of that movement. Good night. just the explosive movement of it, which means that going into next year, it's either going to be heavy consolidation or heavy Japanese yen bias, uh, which once again gives us a good opportunity to be able to make something off the retracement if that does happen as well. All right, so here we go. U.S. dollar index, weekly perspective. What ended up happening? Market ended up completing the D extension. Once it ended up completing the D extension, the market ended up having this peak right here be the fractal high. Once that peak ended up being a fractal high, from there, 13,520, I believe, was the overall daily position where it ended up getting hit. Now we have a new weekly D extension at 13,827. Currently, right now, we are definitely above the 127. The only thing that I do not like about this personally is that the market only retraced to the 236, meaning that typically in most cases, what you end up seeing is that you have a little bit of hesitation right around the 127, which is the 80-20 rule that we talk about all of the time. Because of that, um, I thought that we are going to get a little bit of hesitation to the downside and starting to see that the market will start to retrace towards that downside movement overall. Currently, right now, that has not happened. So I am still going to say that the market is bullish, but I am going to also end up saying that um, there's probably a lot more diminishing returns on being able to make a trade off of this move than it would be to actually stay in on a move like this. Okay, just keep that for what it's worth. All right, from a daily perspective, starting to see a little bit of resistance. Once again, the 127 is typically the area where you'll see a lot of people start to get in and start trying to sell. We do have a natural resistance area where we have two highs to try to break above 13,545. And since then, we end up having some rejection. We end up seeing that we have a natural support currently right now at what's the low? 13,284. So currently right now we have a consolidation box right here at this particular point that will have to be broken to the upside if I'm going to end up considering any more trades on being able to get in towards this overall movement, just from an honesty perspective and being able to get in. Let's see. Yeah, just from an honesty perspective, that is something that I don't necessarily like when it comes down to that. Well, basically, we have a consolidation build up, which is actually good. I mean, because now we can be able to see the market truly be able to make a decision on where the market is actually going. So sorry for rambling. So that is what I'm going to be paying attention to, United States dollar. Because of that case, I'm not going to end up trading it as of yet. Let's see. I'm not going to be trading it as of yet, but I am going to pay attention to it overall. Let's see. Right there. Not just support right there. We're in the middle of that consolidation. Obviously, about a 127. I do think that the market could potentially fall, but um, right now, I'm not going to end up throwing any money in on the United States dollar as a point. Now, that does affect what I'm going to end up saying about Euro United States, and it is what I'm going to end up. It is going to affect what I'm going to say about U.S. Yen as well. So when we get back to those, I'm going to refer back to that. So keep that in mind. Oil. Let's see. Okay. Gold preparing to fall. DXY pound yen. DXY go to the D extension. Okay. Down the extension. Okay, let's see what the down the extension is real quick before I get off of this. Arizine, what you thinking? Give me a number. Interested in being able to hear your number. Where you think it's gonna go to? Refresh my screen again. I want to see what you say. All right, so if we're going based off of that, saying okay, well the market could potentially fall. It went all the way up to the 86 position, which means that it could fall down to the 118, which would be at 13,400. If that does happen, that will be the position where, from a United States dollar index perspective, that's what end up falling. It is a counter trend line break, so do keep that in mind. But overall, that would be the area where it could fall. I don't like trading in consolidation. I think all of y'all know that at this particular point, so I'm not interested in that. Okay, oil. We end up doing pretty good on oil at the beginning of the month. Currently, right now, we can see that the market is starting to make a little bit of a retracement. Let's go to the weekly and see what's happening with this. So this was the thought process. Oil, from a common sense perspective, this is the months where you typically see that oil will start to be able to rise in price. And the reason why I'm saying that, the reason why I'm bringing that up first is because that when you end up taking a look at oil, typically in October is when it has this best movement, or at least the start of its first movement. So from a weekly perspective, the market did break into the buy zone from there, and we can start to see that the market is starting to push up to the upside. From a daily perspective, we have that breakout. Remember, typically when there's a breakout, you will end up seeing a retest. Currently, right now, the market is moving down to the buy zone once again, which means that I'm going to end up waiting until there's a true counter trend line break to be able to get in on this overall pair. We do need to find a natural support where the market could potentially end up going to. We had 3 consolidation positions where this market actually ended up building out different spots. The first spot has been broken already, which is right there. The second spot has not found support yet. The low price of that was at 82.48. So there could be a chance that the market could fall down to right around that 82.48 area before being able to pop up to the upside overall when it comes down to this position. Now, I'm just saying that in general. Now, if it does fall down to that position and it's in the buy zone when that happens and it breaks towards the counter trend line break towards the upside, then after that, I will look at buying when it comes down to the upside. I don't know if y'all, I think I see my son. Don't do that. Um, come here, come here, come on. Ah, say hey. Oh, wait, say hey. Say good morning. There we go. Huh? That's the first thing you want to ask me? Good night. Sit down real quick. Um, let's see. Yeah, 82.40 would be the area where I'd be interested in being able to see if this market will pop up and be able to go. Let's see. The extension 112, 110. Okay, yeah, I can see that happening. I can see that happening. Um, but for right now, oil, I'm not going to do anything off of it. I need the market to be able to fall down a little bit more and then break that counter trend line break to be able to get back in. So Canadian dollar pairs, I still think are going to end up being bearish overall. Let's go with gold real quick. So I have a love-hate relationship with gold. Um, gold has worked out very well in certain situations, and gold has been very poor in situations. So uh, I'm break it down like this. All right, long term, long term. High of the resistance is at 20,070. The market ended up breaking below 1685, which was the bottom of the resistance. Because of that overall position, or because of where it is right now, off of that, that means to me that the market currently right now is going to end up being a little bit more bearish. Now, keep this in mind. The United States dollar index is getting into a consolidation pattern, and I think that overall it should fall. Not saying that it will, I just say that it should fall. Um, overall at this particular point. We take a look at this from a daily perspective. We end up having a trade, I believe, a few weeks ago at this particular point, right around last month, where we end up saying that once gold ended up breaking below 1685, I felt like it could be able to go all the way down to 1615. Market ended up hitting that position, popped all the way back up to the upside, went back inside of consolidation, started to consolidate again at the top. Oops, come here. It started to consolidate again at the top. Once it consolidated again at the top, it ended up making that same movement and that same overall position where we could have had that same trade at 1685. Now, question is, did you end up taking that move? Me personally, I did not. I just game planned on that one. I was too busy taking a look at NAS 100 and US 30 on FOMC day that I did not take that trade. But there goes that same movement. Market went to the downside, popped right back up, went inside a consolidation again. It ended up making basically a double bottom, and currently right now it's making like a rising wedge at this particular point. As this market is actually pushing up at this pushing up in this juncture. So because of that, I'm not going to do anything with gold. And this is kind of screaming to say that I don't know. The United States dollar index is trying to break out and trying to break up to the upside of 13,800 or 13,800. Gold is trying to continue to break down to 1615, but there's still a little bit of a fight. And because of that fight, there's really no position to be able to take. I'm going to stay away. I'm going to let this kind of play out. We'll talk about this a little bit later on tonight when it comes down to that movement. Now, let's get into hey man, I wanted to be trading a little bit before that. Both of them already have, well, all three of them already have their accounts. My 1 month-year-old kid has the US yen account right now at this particular portion. I'm running the automation system based off of Ikumoku clouds and everything else like that. So I started her off with her own account on that. Obviously, she doesn't know yet, but I want to see how well that does. All right, US yen. US yen has been down 45% over the course of this year overall. I seen that in a post earlier last weekend, which is scary if we're being very honest. But that also leads into possible good positions to be able to get into a little bit later on. We got to keep the main thing the main thing. All right, so from a weekly perspective, the market is in the buy zone. The market was showing that it was going to end up making more of a king's crown to the downside. We ended up talking about that a little bit earlier. In order for that to be able to happen, the market has to be able to rise up and start to get back up to these peaks at 113. When it comes down, oh, that's oil. Sorry. Okay. All right. US yen. Whole different take. Market end up pushing up, end up breaking past the D extension at 142. Since then, I have not traded it because currently, right now, it is basically about to beat a all-time high when it comes down to this movement. The all-time high ended up happening in 1998, where the open high was at 147. Currently, right now, we are at currently right now we're at 148. So we're at a new all-time high. Here's my simple rule when it comes down to this: I do not buy future high prices. So as soon as it ended up breaking that overall position, I was done. I was done manually trading that when it came down to that position. So the thing is, there it's going to end up being a drop at some point. So we got to be able to monitor where that drop is going to end up being. When the counter trend line break ends up happening, it's going to end up. Hopefully, the Japanese yen is going to recover for a very long time. It kind of reminds me of what ended up happening. Kind of reminds me of what ended up happening with the Australian dollar and the New Zealand dollar back in 2020 when the market, in March of 2020, when the market obviously was hit because of COVID and everything else, and both of them went down like 50 something cents when it came down to that movement. I'm seeing the same thing kind of happen when it comes down to this overall pair. We just got to keep that in mind as the market is kind of moving towards this. But from a buying perspective, I am done buying. And I think that a lot of people are going to end up being done buying at certain points. Market went inside a consolidation, it broke above 144, went to this high. I have 148 here for a reason. Oh, okay. 148 was the 148.91. All right, 148.89 is the 382 of this overall position. Okay, so when the market only retraced down to the 236, there goes your 382 type of move. Expect to see a little bit of pressure right here. It may end up being some pressure with catalysts. If there's pressure with a little bit of catalyst, then you'll see that the market will move to the downside. If it breaks a counter trend line break on the first day, and we end up having some catalysts that basically ends up saying that the United States dollar is showing signs of weakness, and we end up getting any good news from the Japanese yen, I think that's what a big move will end up being. If it falls down, we're talking about the inner trend line breaking to the outer trend line, somewhere around 143 to 141 first before being able to make a move to the downside. That would be my quick take on that. Currently, right now, nothing to be able to do. I would definitely pay attention to what's happening right around 148.89. Currently, right now, we're at that price. Maybe one of those situations to where if you want to be able to take a chance, look at an inner trend line break and see if the market breaks an inner trend line break, and then after that, try to see if you can get something off of it. But once again, you got to have a catalyst off of that. Just don't try to chase falling knives for no reason. Okay, so I'm going to end off on that one. Really, no trade this morning as of yet. The trades that were good end up happening this morning. Like I ended up saying, I ended up taking profit off of US 30. US 30 ended up getting triggered in on my automation system a little bit earlier toward the downside. And we end up going from there. Now, I'm going to say this real quick before I end up getting out of here. The Discord group and everything else like that we have, currently right now, we have right around 20-something members. At this particular point, I want to say thank you to everybody who ended up doing that. We end up having a special on the Discord to where if you end up getting a premium membership, meaning that if you're a part of the elite or if you're a part of the inner circle, then you have an opportunity to be able to get, or if you're part of the elite, then you end up getting unlocking the overall expert advisors panel, which means that all of the expert advisors that I end up having that I have created, or some of the ones that I've used before, and I know that they truly work. They are inside the license to where you can be able to use those anytime that you actually end up wanting to, and being able to go from there. I have a new EA that I have created at this particular point, kind of like what I ended up talking about, where it ends up trading Ikimoku clouds and everything else like that. That will end up being posted inside of that link once we end up getting 5 members that are part of the elite inside of that package. If you're interested in being able to learn a little bit more about what goes on in that package or anything else like that, I'm going to place that inside of the chat box. Once again, that is totally up to you about what you want to be able to do with that. But I will say this. I put it like this. At this particular point, Discord has been running for, I want to say, about 3 weeks. The first people that end up joining, the first group that end up getting placed in, that membership was actually at a very cheap price. Membership is at a very cheap price when it comes down to that right now. But the people that actually end up getting that membership and being able to get placed in, legitimately the first trade that we end up having was that 700 pip movement when the market ended up pushing up on US 30. And then after that, on Friday, when we end up talking about being able to have the first 5 people to get pushed in when it came down to that movement, and we end up talking about this trade right here and kind of being able to explain that a little bit more, end up being another 400-point move. So there are certain things that I do talk about here on this channel. There are certain things that I have to be able to keep for the people on Discord, because obviously it's a premium membership group and being able to go from there. Obviously, there's a lot more stuff that we're going to end up doing because the Discord server is fairly young. But I post out everything pretty much daily, and I post in new indicators and new expert advisors and new ebooks and everything else like that throughout the overall week. Currently, right now, we have a library of over, I want to say, 150 premium books and right around, I think, 30 public books that you can be able to look and learn from. So, interested in being able to learn a little bit more, go inside of that link, be able to support, be able to do that. If you like what I end up doing, please make sure that you end up clicking on that boost button. Always cool to be able to keep on pushing and do everything else with that. Roger, I think we end up going through U.S. oil. U.S. oil, I end up saying there's really nothing to do until the market falls down to 84.20. Once the market falls down to 84.20, then I'm going to look at being able to ride it out for the rest of the year to the upside. But like always, trade your plan. Everyone, well, I see y'all a little bit later on in the night session. I paste out that link and we end up going from there. Everybody, take it easy. New members, thank you for being able to pop in. All the new people that end up following, thank you.